Welcome in, everybody, to a very special horror movie review, mostly because Jesse's not here. That's what makes this one so special. But we are also joined by our special guest, Matt Leslie, who's been on the show before. But we wanted to bring him in for a fun movie review. So thank you for being here, sir.
Yeah, it's good to be here. What's up, guys?
And as always, Dave is with me as well.
Here I am.
And before we get into this movie review, this is a brand new movie. It is in theaters now. This is going to be a review full of spoilers. This is your warning. You should go see this movie. You should particularly go see this movie in the theater, is what I'm going to tell you as well.
Yes, IMAX.
Yeah, if you can, I wish we
IMAX.
saw it in IMAX.
No, would you see it in Dolby at least?
Uh no, I think we just saw it regular, to be honest. It was like a last minute thing. So we
Oh
just
yeah,
sort
yeah.
of grabbed tickets and went. And I usually don't care about IMAX, to be perfectly honest, that much, but I really wish we saw this movie in IMAX.
Did you
Uh,
guys see the promo piece Ryan Coogler did where he was walking people through each of the film types that like all the way from like 8 millimeter film all the way through the current like IMAX film where and he kind of shows you what each one what it looks like, what it means, what the benefit is. It's such a cool promo. I'll send it to you guys after.
Yeah,
It's
that
really
sounds
cool.
cool.
It's only a couple of minutes, but it's awesome.
yeah,
But it
no,
made me feel like I have to see this movie on IMAX because he deliberately shot everything specifically for IMAX.
yeah. I think this is the only movie this year that was shot for IMAX as well, if I remember correctly, which is
Could be.
startling. So we are going to get into all of that. So make sure you go see this movie. Last time, from here on forward. Oh, and when you go see this movie, if you know nothing about this movie, go in knowing nothing about this movie. Do not
Yeah,
watch a
good call.
trailer. Do not do anything. If you can go in completely blind, go in completely blind. All that being said, Dave, can you hit us with a synopsis for the
Right.
movie Sinners?
Sinners 2025, directed by Ryan Coogler, starring Hailee Steinfeld and Michael B. Jordan. Trying to leave their troubled lives behind, twin brothers return to their Mississippi hometown to start again, only to discover that an even greater evil is waiting to welcome them back. So I went into this movie completely blind, or as completely blind as a person with vision can be. I had no idea what it was going to be. And I will tell you that movies that do this get me every time. I'm always fooled by these movies that are just like halfway through or 2/3 of the way through. They're like, by the way, this is what the movie's about. And I'm like, oh shit. And I always love it. But one thing I'll say about this movie, which stands out above all other things, as I thought the sound design was possibly one of the best that I've heard in a recent movie. Definitely since Nosferatu, at least. But
Yeah, yeah.
this movie sounded so good. Like they used like the sound they used in the jump scares actually got me to jump. Particularly in the beginning, the opening scene of this movie I was like, oh shit, this movie's gonna be scary as fuck. So
Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
the sound design is what stood out for me in this.
Yeah. It's definitely a strong. By the way, not to derail, but did you guys see Warfare yet? Sound
No.
design? Oh my God. You have to see that movie in the theater. Um, but yeah, this also had an amazing score from Ludwig Göransson. Like it was just like across the board, everybody brought their A game. But I totally agree with you. It's best to go in kind of blind. I was really underwhelmed by the marketing campaign. I felt like they didn't know how to market this movie because, it's a drama, it's a horror movie, it's got Michael B. Jordan playing two different people. And it was like moments in the trailer where I was like, is this a sci-fi movie? Like, is it a clone thing? Like, it was really unclear when they first released the first couple of teasers for this thing. And so I wouldn't say I went in blind. I went in kind of being like, I don't really think this looks that great. And then I was, of course, blown away because it's a wonderful movie. But yeah, it's
Yeah.
going blind.
Yeah. So I unfortunately saw a trailer that particular trailer showed Haley's character like covered in blood, saying that she was going to kill every last one of them. And I was like,
Oh, I
shit.
didn't see that. Yeah,
I'm
that's
like,
too
shit, it's a
much.
vampire movie. Like it ruined, like that ruined it for me. Like not ruined the movie. The movie's phenomenal, but like it ruined the surprise aspect for the movie for me. And I was very bummed out that I had seen that. Didn't
Yeah.
ruin the movie by any means, but yeah,
It's
it
so,
sucked.
it's so funny because we literally last week just reviewed From Dusk Till Dawn, the original with Tarantino and George
So
Clooney.
good.
And it's like the same idea, right? You go in, you're like 2/3 of the way through this movie, and you're like, it's like boom, vampires. Like, I didn't know. This was just like that for me. I was like, halfway through the movie, I'm like, oh, it's a fucking vampire movie. This is awesome. So
Yeah.
so
Very
yeah,
analogous to Dusk Till Dawn for sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, totally different vibe to that movie, but like the
Yeah.
same, the same principle there. But by the way, there's your spoiler. But that sucks that I hate when the trailers spoil like that. Which it's like,
Yeah.
to Matt's point originally, like, how do you market a movie without that big reveal?
Yeah.
You're making a vampire movie. How do you market it as not a vampire movie?
Oh, yeah. And by the way, did you guys ever see that movie 65, or is it 65 million? It was Adam Driver's movie.
I
And the
did not
whole
see it.
So that movie, like the big twist that they totally gave away in the marketing was that it's Earth 65 million years ago that they're on, and they're in like spaceships and stuff. And you're like, if you didn't tell me that in the marketing, and I was like the midpoint reveal of the movie that it was really Earth 65 million years ago, it would have been like, oh shit. But we just all went in knowing it was Earth 65 million years ago, and I was like, why did you give that away? And there's so many trailers that do that now because people in the marketing department just want you to turn up to see these films. So
Yeah.
I think it's like an insecurity. They're just like, we got to just tell them everything. And
Yeah.
it's, just kind of a bummer of a paradigm.
It's
Yeah.
good when you get a good like the one good thing about social media is sometimes word of mouth will get out there and it'll just be go see this movie and don't know anything about it. So that's
Yeah.
why I saw Barbarian. I don't know
Yeah.
if you've seen Barbarian, but everything I saw about Barbarian online was go see Barbarian, do not watch a trailer. Go see Barbarian, do not watch a trailer. So that's exactly what we did. I thought with the title, we were going to this movie. It was going to be about this medieval, like, I knew it was like horror. That's the only thing I knew. I'm like, it's going to be some sort of medieval horror movie.
Yeah.
And it opens up on a house. And I'm like, oh shit, I don't know what this movie's about at all.
Yeah.
And then you're like, you enjoy it so much more. I understand that can be frightening to somebody spending the money to go to a movie theater without knowing what you're actually going to see. But in my experience, whenever you go to something and you just have no idea what you're watching, it is so much more enjoyable.
Yeah, man.
Particularly for horror, right? And that's why I think that the marketing campaigns are so important. And that's why I know, like, Jason Blum will say, well, we gotta, it's like, you gotta get asses in the seats, and he's right. But you look at a marketing campaign like Dario Argento's original Suspiria, where that original trailer showed nothing. You got they basically made like a quick 30-second scary movie. You get the girl walking around and you don't know why or what's scary, but there's something about it that's unsettling, and then just flashes.
Oh, that's cool.
Suspiria, and it's like, you're like, all right, that looks really scary. I don't know what it's about. And it got asses in the seats, and obviously that movie is iconic.
That's cool. I didn't know that. Yeah. Another movie that kind of came to mind that recently was like that, kind of like Barbarian, was Companion. Everybody was like, don't watch it. Did you guys see that movie?
I haven't, and I don't know what the premise is yet. I know it just hit Max, so I'm excited to watch it.
Yeah. Jack Quaid stars in it, and you're just like, there's a couple of, they did a really good job of the teaser showing you imagery that you're like, how is that possible? And but you don't find out what it is. And then watching the movie, there's a awesome reveal where you're like, oh shit, that's amazing. And I didn't hear anything about it going into it. I went totally in, like, unaware, and it was awesome. So
A movie coming out like this as well, from what I've been reading, is the movie Together. So from what everyone's saying is, do not watch a trailer for this movie. I don't know if I don't think it comes out till later this summer.
That's the Dave Franco one, right?
Yeah, Dave Franco and Alison Brie.
Yeah, that looks good. I heard it was cool.
Yeah, and everyone's saying do not go in knowing anything about it. Go in. So I'm planning on watching that way as well.
Yeah.
But back to Sinners. I think this movie is shot so beautifully. Like just every scene in this movie, the color palette of the characters, of the background, just everything in this movie. The sound design is incredible, as you guys have already alluded to. Just absolutely phenomenal. But the look of it, and maybe because I grew up in Mississippi, not in like this part of Mississippi, I grew up on the coast, so a little bit different. But just seeing some of the older styles of the 1930s Mississippi and sort of the sun over the fields and stuff. It looked so great. And the sun is such an important feature of this movie, like where it is at all points in time throughout the day as they're going through that day leading into that night. And I thought looking back on it, it was just constructed so well between the car rides, the shots at like the train station, everything like that. Just it is an incredible looking movie
It's gotta
It
be
overall.
is beautiful.
it's gotta be tricky to pull off when you're doing a movie that basically takes place over the course of one day, which I think this one does, right?
Yep.
And that
I
means
think it does. Yeah.
the sun has to be in a particular spot for you to get that scene right. So if you're not shooting the movie in one day, so you gotta shoot at a certain time of day, I imagine, right? Or maybe
Yeah.
there's tricks with the lighting. I don't
Yeah.
know.
That's a good question. I've never shot a movie that's supposed to take place in just one day. So definitely got to be tricky.
Mm,
Yeah.
I'm sure there's tricks of the trade that that they employ, but like, yeah, that's a really good point because it
Yeah.
is just one day and then overnight
You're
till
getting your
sunrise.
you're getting very specific times, I assume, on set that you have to be here for these specific scenes during these days. Then the weather has to cooperate with you as well. So,
Yeah. And I'm
yeah.
sure it doesn't. I wonder if they shot it. Did they shoot it in Mississippi?
I believe from one of the things I read, I think it might have been some in Mississippi. I know they shot some of it in Louisiana as
Let me
well,
see.
or they might have shot all of it in Louisiana, but they did shoot it in the South at least.
Yeah, all Louisiana looks
Yeah,
like.
yeah,
Close enough.
yeah,
But
Yeah,
that's
the DP was. Oh, sorry.
I was just gonna say the one day and one night thing is another parallel to From Dusk Till Dawn.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, One Night of Hell. The DP was someone named Autumn Arkapaw, who apparently has shot a lot of Ryan Coogler's stuff. I hadn't really heard of her, but she crushed it on this film with him. It
yeah.
really is. It's beautiful. Everything is like really rich and it's like got a neat noir vibe. It's just
Mhm.
really cool. Very
Coo-
contrasty, beautiful.
Coogler seems to be constructing a team that he's using pretty much on the majority of his movies. So obviously every movie that he's done, Michael B. Jordan has been in
Yeah.
some capacity. And unfortunately, that was also going to be the case with God, why am I blanking on his name? The guy who played Black Panther.
Michael B.
No, not Michael B. Jordan, the
Oh,
T'Challa. He
yeah.
died,
Yeah. Oh my
unfortunately.
gosh. How are we
Yeah.
all blanking on this right now?
It's the worst. I feel like such an idiot.
Gotcha.
But he was slated to be the other guy that was going to they were sort of forming a trio that the three of them were always going to do their movies together. So I
Chadwick
was
Boseman.
yes, Chadwick Boseman. That's it. Sorry, God, I can't believe I blinked on that name. But Chadwick Boseman would have been in this movie in some capacity, and I wonder what character Chadwick Boseman would have played. And I was like, would he have been one of the brothers? Would they have done it with Michael B. Jordan, Chadwick Boseman playing brothers, or would he have just played some other character within the movie?
Yeah,
Um,
interesting question. Yeah,
so
maybe yeah, I don't know because everybody like honestly one of my things I loved about this movie is the casting was just so on point. Like
Mhm.
across the board, I was just like these people all killed it. Like I think you guys saw my tweet where I said that Delroy Lindo just got like not nearly enough love. Like I didn't even know it was him at first
yeah,
when when they first introduced him as Delta Slim. I was just like, who is that dude? And then it took me a minute. I was like, holy shit, that's Delroy Lindo. And he just like disappeared into the role. He was so good. Every scene he was in, I was like, I could just watch this dude play the harmonica for
Yeah,
2 hours, you know?
he was phenomenal.
Um, yeah, but just like everybody across the board, like Omar Miller playing Cornbread,
yeah.
Mhm.
Jack O'Connell playing Remick, like everybody was just like perfect. I didn't have any. Usually when I'm watching a movie, I'll be like, that's terrible casting for at least one character, you know? I didn't have anybody in this film that I didn't love
It
I
was
even like Michael B. Jordan as both brothers.
for
mhm.
Like,
sure.
I
Yeah.
thought, like we and Dave were talking about this on our way out of the movie theater, where sometimes you see these actors they get cast as two brothers, and they play them too extremely sometimes to show the contrast between the brothers.
Yeah.
And I liked that they were similar enough, but I also thought that they were different enough in other aspects
Yeah,
that
for sure.
once you learn who's who, you can kind of figure out. Although, Dave, you probably had a better time. I still can't tell your kids apart. So
I know.
Dave
Yeah.
has
You got
twins.
twins?
Yep.
No way.
Mm.
Identical too?
They're not, but they look identical. They
Whoa. Yeah, yeah. That's got to be kind of tough sometimes.
It was tough. Yeah, we had to label their heads when they were babies. It was like,
Nice.
I was there. Like,
Um,
we could have mixed them up at one point after they were born, those first couple of days, and maybe the hat got switched, and maybe the one is actually the
true.
other.
That's so funny.
Not
Yeah, twins
anymore.
would be, that's got its own challenges. What did you guys think of Wunmi Mosaku, who played
Annie.
Michael B. Jordan? Yeah, yeah, exactly. Annie. Like I had never seen her before in anything, and I thought she was another one, just like perfect casting, stole every scene she was in,
Yeah,
super compelling.
she was great, and I thought she looked familiar, but I couldn't place, and the name doesn't sound familiar.
Apparently,
So,
she was in Lovecraft Country.
oh really?
Oh,
Yeah, which I hadn't seen. I didn't watch Lovecraft Country. I'd meant to, but I never did. But apparently she's great in that too.
Mm. Yeah, she was awesome. But yeah, she looked familiar, and I was like, "Who is that?" I can't place the name. I can't place the face to a name. But yeah, she was really good. Like you said, everyone was just really good in this, and
Yeah.
they were well cast, and just they had excellent performances as well.
Yeah. What did you think of Miles Caton, the kid who played Sammy? Like, what a voice.
I
Yeah,
cannot believe that this was his first acting experience.
Seriously. I mean, it was
Like,
like phenomenal performance.
I mean, he's not the main character, but he's technically the focal point of
Yeah.
this movie.
Yeah.
And to put that trust in someone that's never acted before, and for this guy to hold his own like with some of these other actors that were in this movie,
Yeah.
specifically Michael B. Jordan, because most of his scenes are with Michael B. Jordan, and he's holding his own throughout it. Like, kudos to Coogler for casting him, finding him,
Yeah.
and to him for just absolutely crushing this role.
even
Yeah.
Buddy Guy crushed it. The end,
Yeah.
he did great.
Oh, yeah. I mean, by the way, one of the best scenes in the movie is all the stuff that he was in at the end. I was like,
Hmm.
why did I think a lot of people probably missed that if they left. So I was like, they should have just had this at the end.
What was that? That was a mid roll, right? Or
Yeah.
was it? Yeah, yeah, that was
Yeah.
Yeah.
cool.
Luckily, no one from our movie theater got up and walked out by that point. So everyone that we watched it with saw it. But I could totally see people starting to move at that
Yeah.
point, thinking that the movie's
Yeah.
over. And
I was
I
like, I
think
was sitting there because the music was playing, and I'm like, I'm not going anywhere. This sounds so good. I was
Yeah.
sitting there watching the
Well, and
credits.
then there was the end credit scene. You guys saw that too, right? Where
Oh
it's
shit!
Miles
no,
Caton singing. It was just like, yeah, again, pro tip, stay all the way till the all the way end, like when the credits end. And it's just like maybe 30 seconds of Miles Caton singing a song, just like unbelievable, but it's great.
Hmm.
It's worth sitting through.
our movie theater bamboozled us because after the mid-credit roll scene, they turned the lights on. So they
Oh,
made
Oh
it seem
yeah.
like it was time to go.
they wanted to go
It's
home.
tough. Was there a screening after you guys?
No, it was
I
late.
don't think so. Yeah.
Oh, okay, interesting. Because it's like apparently, like when you get to a movie that's like 2 hours and 20 minutes or over, you lose one showing
Hmm.
per day.
Mm.
This is 2 hours 17. So
So
I
strip
could see
window.
them still just being like, all right, now get out of the theater. We got to clean it and get the next one going.
Get the
Mm.
next one moving.
But
Yeah. I could see that as well.
I want to talk
Uh,
about how gripping that opening scene was. If that, because this was like I said, I went into the movie blind. I didn't know what it was about. I didn't know what it was going to be about. It was called Sinners, and it was kind of giving off demonic vibes, I thought, towards the
at
beginning.
the church, yeah.
Church. And he's walking in, and it's kind of, you kind of get that like flash jump scare, and it looked like a demon. I'm like, oh, this could be a demon movie, but it was so scary and so unsettling, that one scene, because you didn't know what he was going to do. It looked like he was going to go murder a bunch of kids, and that is uncomfortable and scary.
Yeah.
So with those jump scares flashing there, I was on the edge of my seat, and I was like, this movie's gonna fucking rock. Like, that was such a good scene. And then for it to kind of pivot from that into the development of the actual story, which was also very compelling, was just, oh man, it had me hooked. But
Yeah.
that
I think Yeah, it was really smart of him to do that too. Like, I think that's always why a good cold open can buy you time to develop characters. That's I think why cold opens have become so popular in horror because if you just hit people with something shocking and scary right up front, you buy yourself time to develop these characters, establish the world, all these different things you've got to do before, you know, everything gets scary again in the second act. So it's that was a great that jump scare. My wife jumped and grabbed me. No one was expecting it because it was just kind of like a daytime church scene.
Yeah,
So yeah, super super good, smart,
yeah,
and it definitely hooked us.
Yeah, that's a great call because boy, did he need you to be hooked in there because he really developed the. I mean, and I'm not. This is not a complaint by any means, but there is a lot of setup and character lore being driven to you before you get into any more of the scary stuff.
hmm
So,
Yeah,
it's
like,
so much more impactful when the characters get killed off, as if when they go.
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, it's honestly it's a lesson like one of the biggest things I think in like as a writer in horror it's like executives and like just producers they just want you to just like condense act one, just get to the scary stuff fast. They just
Mhm.
want you to just like compact it, and it used to be that act one was longer and then act three was shorter, so you spend time developing your characters, and then that way you really care about them to your point. And then when they're killed in the end, act three is much shorter, but it hits hard, it's fast, and you really care about all these people when they die. And this is a good example of that. They just like built the world, they established the time, the place, all the characters, the social tension, who these dudes were coming back from Chicago, what they maybe didn't do. You really get a feel for all of it, and it makes it so much more impactful. Like when, spoiler alert, one of the, was it Stack or Smoke that gets, I can't remember if it was Smoke or Stack. It
Yeah,
was Stack that
yeah,
yeah, that gets turned. And it's like, you care, you care so much. Or like when one Misaku's character, I mean, dude, that moment was like when like the tension between like when he's gonna kill her because she's gonna turn. They really want like the vampires want all of them to turn so they
yeah,
can all live in like forever, like in this way. And then Michael B. Jordan's character is gonna kill his wife, and that's gonna negate her ability to ever live forever. It was just like such a heartbreaking moment. It was so good. It was such a smart moment.
yeah.
But anyway,
There were a lot of impactful kills. One of them, the one that sticks out for me, is Grace, the Chinese woman there. When she found out her husband was dead,
oh, when her husband,
and
yeah,
she was just a woman scorned at that point, and she was the one who was like invited the vampires in because she wanted to kill them all, and she was so badass when she went out
yeah.
and just ran right through the flames and staked the vampire, and that scene was shocking.
Yeah, that was badass. You know what I wish though? There was one thing that I had wished is the scene when like basically the bar gets shut down, the juke joint gets shut down, and just like everybody floods out. And then you just like, and obviously it comes back later what happened to all those people. But I kind of wish we had a moment outside where you just like, them getting like picked off one by one or something with like an action horror set piece.
Hmm.
I mean, I bet you they scripted that at one point and then just decided not to shoot it or something or
Or
what.
maybe
But
they
I would have
shot
been
it and got
cool.
and they maybe they shot it and got cut because of the
Yeah.
runtime.
Yeah, yeah, for
or
sure.
even them just hearing it from the bar, right?
Yeah,
Like I don't even need to see it, but
totally.
if the characters are hearing something, then maybe that would have been impactful. I mean,
Yeah.
everything works for the most part in this movie for sure.
I think it helped the way they did it. I think it kind of helped um, Grace's character arc there. And whereas she didn't know her husband was dead or alive, we didn't know if her husband was dead or alive
Yeah,
until we
for
do
sure.
know. And then that was kind of like the light switch moment for her. Where
Yeah.
so I think it for if nothing else, it worked for that character arc.
Yeah. I got a chuckle though when her husband comes back and there's a dude getting murdered on the ground by one vampire. And he's like, he's got the keys. He's like, babe, I got the keys. You ready to go? Like, he's just casually like, are you ready?
Yeah.
What's
Guy
going on? Let's
getting
go.
eaten. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
It's
fun.
like, that's
It's
so
funny,
funny.
but super unsettling too. Like
Oh,
because
yeah.
it's just like the juxtaposition of what's going on there, and this guy just being cool, casual, and collective. And you're like,
Yeah.
well, we know for sure that
Yep.
he's been turned at this point. Um,
Yeah. I love the inclusion of that Asian sort of like, their family owned business down there. Do you know, like, was that really a thing back in, 19, what was it? What year did this take place? It's like
Mhm.
Prohibition era, right? So this is
This
like
Yeah,
is
30s.
1920, 20
this
to
is
30
the
or so.
30s. This is in the 1930s.
It was post
So
prohibition, I believe.
Yeah.
it was post-prohibition. Oh, okay. So it was, so yeah. So then was there like a population of Asian people who lived in Mississippi at that time? Because I was just like, that's incredible if that's, I had no idea.
Yeah, there's pockets of Asian people that lived all throughout the country. So you would find them specifically a lot of times around where railroads have been built as
Hmm.
well, because
Mhm.
a lot of the Asian people that came over built
They
the
built the
railroads,
railroads. Yeah,
and
yeah.
then they would sort of set up shop in certain places. So
I
there,
thought that was such a cool, unexpected inclusion in the story, you know? And
yeah,
even in that musical, like, number that I think we'll probably talk about at some point.
yeah. We should probably talk about those now because I could see these scenes being the biggest contention point of the movie. So sound design is very important in this movie. Music is immensely important in this movie,
Hmm.
and there are two scenes that really go to that. And the first one is in the juke joint where the music starts and it's almost shot as like a one shot. I,
Hmm.
I don't think it was, but it looks like it, and they did a great job doing that.
They played it all live too, by the way.
Oh, did they really?
Yeah,
That's crazy.
I know. I can't imagine what that would have been like. How did Miles Caton stay singing on the guitar that whole scene when he's got to do it on an electric guitar next to him and he's got
Yeah.
like drums? Like, I don't even know how he did that. It's incredible.
Yeah. So basically they do this one shot. And I think this scene's really important. And I think that this scene is going to get misinterpreted somewhat. So from what I saw and from what some other people might see, but basically to your point, they do this scene where when he starts singing Sammy, it invokes something that you start to see ancestors from long ago, but you also see ancestors from the future that are all singing and dancing within their respective cultures of the time. So you see people from Africa from back in the day. You also see people from like the 1970s with an electric guitar, like you said. And it,
Hmm.
it really depends on which person you're following at the time. Because when you are following the Asian characters, you start to see some of the Asian culture characters as well. And it can be very jarring because it's very different from anything else in the movie, and I could see it taking somebody out of it, and it's a choice, and I think that once you understand what's happening, I think it's great, but I could see people not liking it as well.
So
Yeah.
when we first watched it, when we got to that first scene, I didn't like it. I thought, I mean, the music was great. I loved it, but it took me right out of it with the guy with the turntables, and then there's the guy dressed like Prince with the guitar, and I'm like,
Yeah.
what the fuck are they doing? Like, why
Yeah.
would they do this? And then, but when we got to the second one that we were going to talk about, which was the Irish one, I was like, oh, this is a musical. It's musical adjacent at least. And then I was like, okay, if that's what this movie is, then I guess that's okay. And it made it made that original scene, which bothered me. It bothered me less at that point when I realized that okay, I guess we're watching a musical. The music had been so good up to that point, anyways. Where I was like, I guess this works. I wouldn't call it a musical because it was just those two scenes out of the whole
Yeah.
movie. But I would definitely say it's musical adjacent.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's accurate. I think like my wife loved it. We went and saw it. She loved both of those scenes. They were like her favorite scenes in the movie. Um, for me, uh, I just was like this specifically the scene that the first one you're talking about where Miles Caden's playing guitar and then all of a sudden it invokes the ancestors and then future, the future genealogy of these characters or the culture. For me, it just sort of like stopped the movie for a minute and a half. And I think you're going to fall into one of two categories. One, you're going to be the kind of person that's just like, I loved it. I thought it was super dope and it didn't bother me at all. And like, in fact, it made everything better. Or you're going to be in the camp of like, the movie just sort of stopped, like this very propulsive, well paced movie that's tense and whatever, just suddenly stopped for whatever, however long it was. And then it kind of picked back up again. And it's also like, to your point, Dave, it's like you're seeing people from the future, from the past. It's like when you go outside with my bump on that was like suddenly Jack O'Connell's doing river dance for a couple beats. But like broadly speaking, they're just dancing to Irish music outside, and there's no past or future. It's just like they're there, they're dancing. It's sort of showing that the vampires have collected these people, and now they're on that team. I think that like it's stylistically very cool. Ryan Coogler's dope. I think it's wonderful that he did that. It's not something that I would have done as a filmmaker, but I'm not Ryan Coogler, and maybe that's why.
But this is very important to the character of Sammy though,
For
because
sure.
the reason why you're seeing all the ancestors is they make it a point to tell you that there are certain people that can play music that sort of open these like sort
Yeah,
of
the quote in the opening.
right, these portals to allow you to see people from different points in time. So he starts playing, and that's what draws the vampires is his musical playing. They hear him, and
Yeah.
they're showing everybody because they're showing how powerful his music is. And that's why it's important for the vampires too, because although they're the musical scene is great, you're not seeing anybody because they don't have a Sammy on that side right now.
Oh,
And
interesting.
if he's playing with them, then the lead vampire can see what he actually wants to see. And he says that at the end of the movie where he's like, I will let you all live, but you're giving me him because I
Mhm.
need him.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. I want him, and I want his thoughts and his skills, and because they show you that like vampires basically gain whatever skills and thoughts and memories
right,
you have when they take you. Yeah, I
right.
like that they open the movie on that quote of like they say that some people are so musically gifted that they sort of attract evil or whatever. And there's a podcast that I listened to, Pop Culture Happy Hour by NPR, and they were talking about it. And this one woman on there, Linda Holmes, was saying how, and it was so true. She was like, really talented black people have always like musical black people have always attracted white vampires, right? Like that's such a true ism for like music and pop culture and movies or whatever. It's just specifically though in music,
Yeah.
and it's so true. And this is just like one big metaphor for that. So I think it's interesting. The way you just described it is a lot deeper, um, Rob, than I kind of thought about it, because to me I was just like immediately I did what Dave said. I just kind of was like, what is happening right now? What are we doing? And I almost like I turned off my brain and was just kind of like, what's happening? I turned to my wife and I was like, what is this? You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And then on the other side it was like, all right, Joe, we're back in.
Yeah.
But that's actually a really cool read on it.
Yeah. So
My
I
problem
think
with the second one, though, with the Irish step dancing thing, was how choreographed it was. Right, they're all dancing in a
Yeah,
perfect circle, and they're all dancing in unison, and they're step dancing
yeah.
and whatnot. I thought it would have been cooler if they did that same scene and everyone was just dancing crazy, not choreographed, and just that would have been, I think, more disturbing. Right?
yeah, but we're seeing that they're a hive mind. So they're collectively sharing thoughts. So they're going to be dancing and singing in unison.
Oh,
So
Yeah, interesting.
that's why they're doing that specific type of scene there.
that's
Yeah.
a
So and they're also this movie is very not only is this movie important for black culture, they do a lot of stuff for Irish culture in here as well and sort of try to show some of the parallels between Irish and black culture, but show how they are different as well. So it's very important to show it in that aspect as well for that specific scene.
So they
Yeah.
Um,
they made the Irish the villains, though.
well, they don't though. They don't technically make the Irish the villains. They make the main vampire. He was Irish, but he has a sympathetic story if you are listening to what he says like throughout the entire movie. And like the whole point of wanting Sammy is to see his ancestors, right? That he can no longer see because he's this vampire and he's been sort of stripped. So there's a huge deep meaning behind
Wait,
all of
did
it.
he
I'm not
verbalize that, or did you just kind of infer that?
no, I mean it's clearly like there's that scene at the end of the movie where he says that he wants Sammy
Yeah.
because Sammy is the only one that can show him what he wants to see.
So
So
then you, because of that scene
you know that it
earlier,
means
okay, that's
that
cool. That's a
that
smart, yeah.
so it's because he wants to reconnect with his ancestors as well. And
Interesting.
that's what that is. So
And by the way, he's got a great pitch. I think if I was one of them, I'd be like anybody that he was approaching. I'd be like, all right, let's roll. I'm down to be a I'm down
Yeah.
to be a vampire. I
this is
mean,
This is
I
one of
get to
my
just
biggest problems in vampire movies is every time that someone is presented with the opportunity to be a vampire, they're always scared of it, but it always seems awesome. And I feel like there
yeah,
should always be some people that actually take it, like that are just like,
yeah,
fuck yeah,
Well,
make
think
me a
about
we,
vampire.
think about it in the big picture, right? Because Stack was the first one to die. He got bit by the vampire. And you're like, oh, that sucks. I like Stack. He died. That's too bad. And Smoke was the one who survived until Smoke got shot and died. And then the end of the movie, Stack comes back. It's like, oh wait, the one who died is dead, and the one who died is alive, and the one who lived is dead.
yeah.
Yeah.
But actually, I loved what Stack said in that final scene at the end, where he was just like, "I haven't seen sunlight." You know, because the old man, the old Miles Caton character, basically says like, "That was I think that was the best day of my life."
Mhm.
And Stack's character is like, me too. I haven't seen, I haven't seen. He basically paints a picture of the dark side of being a
Yeah,
vampire, and it does sound kind of shitty. Like
yeah,
I guess it's like one of those things where, like, on the surface of it, when Jack O'Connell's character Remick is like pitching it, it's like that sounds kind of good. You get to just be with your loved ones forever, and you're like you don't have pain or whatever. But there's a downside.
yeah. But you know who else doesn't get to see the sun ever? Dead people.
That's true.
But at least the
Valid
vampires get
point.
to see the moon.
Valid point.
I love the design of the vampires in this movie too, because it's really, really subtle. It's
Yeah.
just that glowing red eyes, and his inspiration for that is the wild, like just something I would have never thought of. Have you guys heard where he was, what inspired him to do that glow in the red eyes?
Fright Night.
No, I just pictured Blade.
A character in Puss in Boots.
No way.
I
He
need
was
to see.
watching Puss in Boots, and there was a character in there that inspired that look of the vampires. And you do see the main vampire sort of look a bit different towards the end. He has like the longer hands and stuff.
Yeah.
I like so again, we watched From Dusk Till Dawn, not anticipating watching this movie. So it's funny to do the parallels between those two because From Dusk Till Dawn, they go full out, right? There's
Yeah.
18,000 different vampire designs. In this one, it's just really, really subtle. There's teeth, there's eyes, and I always like the subtle one a little more than the full on
Same.
crazy ones because I like that when vampires sort of mirror you so that I find that more scary that they
Yeah, it's like
look
an uncanniness. Like it's
right.
uncanny. It's just a couple degrees off of normal versus just totally monstrous. I totally agree. I
Yeah.
think that's way scarier. Although
Yeah.
the Lost Boys scared the shit out of me when I was a kid, and that's
Yeah.
pretty like,
But
the
they weren't
faces.
always like that either. I guess I get the From Dusk Till Dawn ones aren't either. But yeah, The Lost Boys is one of my favorite movies.
So good.
Fright Night had some pretty scary
Bright
vampires.
Night, dude. Yeah, one of my favorite movies as well.
I love the vampire resurgence that we're been
Yeah.
getting lately.
We needed
I,
that cleansing after like Twilight and True Blood and stuff like that.
Oh my gosh,
yeah,
seriously.
Because
yeah,
vampires weren't cool for a while, and now they're cool again.
Yeah.
yeah. And there's so many different ways to tell a vampire story as we're seeing between this, Nosferatu, Abigail, like 3 different movies that are all good or fun in their own right.
Dude, Abigail was the other one where halfway through I'm like, oh, it's a fucking vampire movie.
Yeah. Okay. Well, oh, that too. By the way, that's the other one where they spoiled it in the trailer.
Yeah,
I didn't
In
see
the
the
trailer,
trailer.
they tell you it's a vampire movie, and I was like, "Why are they saying this? It would be so great if the break into Act Two in that movie is it's a vampire movie."
yeah,
But we all knew. I mean, I knew going in. It was such a
yep,
bummer.
yep.
I was
Absolute bummer.
Rob was
Great
like
movie.
watching Abigail. I was like, all right, never heard of it. Let's go.
Yeah.
Do we have, I mean, this is getting a little long. Do we have any negatives we want to hit on?
My only negatives were what I talked about with those 2 music scenes, and they're really like, the more I think about it, the less it becomes a negative for me. The first one did initially take me out of it, but I don't think I'm going to take points off of it because I think when I do go back and rewatch this movie, I'm going to like it when it's all put together in the big package. And I think that I'll kick myself if I take points off of points off.
Yeah. Yeah. And Rob, I have to say, after the way you explained what it was basically giving you a visualization of what the Remick character wanted for himself.
Yeah,
I didn't see it that way when I was watching it. I was just like, oh, he just wants to do like a music video right now. You know, like I totally missed that. But now in hindsight, after you explain that, I think that's actually a really fucking cool way of visualizing what Remick was after. I almost wish there was like a little bit more of like a clear, like, I mean, you're even the way you just said what Remick says at the end.
Mhm.
I think you're right. I think that's exactly what that was. But I
Yeah.
didn't really see that. I didn't realize that in the movie. But now that I do, I honestly I don't have any negatives on this film. I was already giving it a 4 out of 5 on Letterboxd. I think now it's like 4.5 out of 5. I hold
Yeah.
those 5 out of 5s like that never happens. You know what I mean? Like, but
Yeah.
that's
Unlike
pretty damn
Dave.
close.
Dave likes to give out 5 out of
They're
5.
just throwing fives.
Just throw.
All I watch are horror movies. It's my favorite genre by far, and if I love a movie, it's getting a 5
Nice. I
because I
can't hate on that, man. I can't hate on that.
My only negative that I had for this movie, and I've since walked back on it, is I didn't like the initial reveal of the vampire. I thought that it if we were waiting, maybe we should have waited longer. However,
Do you mean with the
when
Native Americans?
yeah, yeah, that whole scene, I was like, maybe we don't need that scene. I know they want to show it because you do have to show it to people at some point again. I didn't love it, but it plays back into the overall story with the clan at the end, and it's super important for that because that's how the hive gets that information that they are coming to kill them. So for that
Hmm.
ending to happen, that does have to happen. So I'm okay with it because of that. But I did sort of wish that the vampire reveal came at the jukebox. Like if we could have incorporated it some way for it to come at the jukebox as well,
Hmm.
would have been maybe a little better. But it's like that's a slight nitpick for
like
me.
maybe Haley Steinfeld's character is like dancing on a table, and she takes her shoe off and sticks her foot in somebody's mouth and pours.
Is there a snake involved? Is there
Yeah.
Yeah. Quentin Tarantino just shows up and goes, "Hey, feet."
feet? Yeah.
No, I do feel like that scene, that reveal that we're talking about, that scene kind of felt forced into the movie, right? You have characters that we don't know. You have the whole Native American people chasing them that we don't know these characters either. And now it's just the vampire character we didn't know, and it's just like this whole scene just felt so disconnected from the rest of the movie. It just felt like almost a cheap way of revealing the vampires. It's kind of
Yeah.
like
Yeah, I hear you. I found it intriguing, and I feel like it also might be like a pacing thing where they were like, let's just put this in there to keep you coming, keep pulling you for because it's a genre element, right? Prior to that, we have the cold open, then we have a lot of like a drama basically with a lot of characters that are very
mm,
interesting, and you're meeting them all, but like nothing scary is really happening, and I think that maybe have been like something that they were like, let's give a little breadcrumb to like
Yeah.
keep you coming to know that this is what's going to be coming at you.
that's a
Yeah.
good
But
point.
I hear you. I
Yeah.
hear you.
The only other issue I think people are going to have with this movie is the length, which I was just so enthralled with it that it's not a problem for me, but I could see some people thinking that some of the scenes lingered a little too long.
Hmm.
Um, but for me, because I enjoyed the atmosphere, I enjoyed the characters, I was enjoying dialogue. I mean, I loved. I mean, one of my favorites, actually, it might be my favorite scene in the entire movie, is after they pick up. Oh, what was the character's name? When they pick up, um,
Delta Slim.
yeah, when they pick up Delta Slim, and the three of them are driving down, and he's talking about
Yeah.
the thing that happened with that character. I didn't
Yeah.
even catch it until too late, and I want to rewatch the movie specifically for this scene. The story he's telling is being reenacted through the radio, and I caught it right at the end, and I was like, "Holy shit!" The sound design on this movie is insane. I didn't catch it until it was too late, or maybe I didn't even notice that I was catching it until
That's
it was too late.
incredible. I didn't even
Yeah,
notice that because I was like transfixed by not only Delroy Lindo's performance, but also Miles Caden's performance in the back seat.
yeah,
Like he is such a like the look on his face when he's listening to the story Delroy Lindo is telling is just like
yeah.
it's a great scene. So I didn't even catch that.
Yeah, next time you watch it, listen to the radio because you hear the guy sort of as he's talking about him being lynched, you hear like they were like choking, right, Dave?
Mhm.
Yeah, so you just hear this character start like choking through the radio, sort of. So it
Uh,
just added to it. Like it's such a good movie overall. we should probably get into our scores. Do you want to start, Dave?
Yeah, I have this at a 5. There was nothing I didn't like about it. Like we mentioned a couple of things that initially might have taken me out of it a little bit, but after like we walked out of the movie theaters and I mentioned it to you and you have actually brought up that point about the music transcending, was transcendent, and I was like, oh, that's actually a good point. They did kind of point that out, so that actually cleared it up for me that night. And yeah, I mean, again, like I think if I take points off for something without rewatching it, I'm going to be kicking myself for giving it a lower score than it deserves. And this movie, I think it's right up there with some of the best that I've seen recently.
Yeah, I was trying to find a reason to give it like a 4.7 or a 4.6 or something like that, and I just can't do it because like it just I don't know if I've watched a movie that has gripped me as much as this one has in the last few years. Like as much as I love Nosferatu and really enjoyed that experience overall. To your point, Dave, I know that story. The characters and everything in this story, I was just gripped by this movie. So I am actually going to give it a 5 out of 5.
Also,
Which
you're a
Damn,
dick.
okay.
I was trying to look for a reason to give it a 4.6. Just a dick.
I try not. I try not to give things a 5. I really do try not to give things a 5, and
Yeah.
I just, and I think, and I also think our rewatch is going to make me like the movie even more, which is crazy. So
Yeah, I think that's true. There's tons of layers. Everything's been thoughtfully done. That's the
yeah,
best kind of movie. You rewatch it, and there's just all those Easter eggs. You can just keep picking up on stuff. I'm gonna give it a 4.5, 4.5 because I don't give like anything a 5.
yeah,
Like it's like I reserve 5 for like the classics that are 5s, and I try not to give I just feel like it's like too high of a but 4.5. I don't give a lot of those either. This is a wonderful movie. I'm definitely
it's
looking forward to seeing it again. I want to try to catch it in IMAX again before
Yeah,
it's out of theaters.
I would like to
yeah,
go see it
Um,
in IMAX.
and you got to check it in IMAX. It's just like if you love sound design in a regular theater, oh my gosh, you guys are gonna love it.
yeah. I think that I might make it a point to try to go see this in IMAX. But that is our scores for the movie Sinners. We want to know what you guys thought of the movie as well. Let us know in the comments below. You can also jump in Discord and leave a review for the movie there. For myself, for Dave, for Matt, we will catch you guys next time here at Hometown Ghost Stories Reviews. Peace.